My name's Claire Hall. I'm a case manager for Bush & Company and the Child Brain Injury Rehabilitation Service. So my experience of working with children and young people following an acquired brain injury, my background is I'm an occupational therapist. I've got about 16 years clinical experience working in both specialist rehabilitation centres and then also within the community. So the types of families and children that I've worked with in the past include children with very complex physical and cognitive needs, and also those children that might have more subtle difficulties. So as you look at them, you don't know they've got an acquired brain injury, but actually they've got cognitive behavioural changes. I think my role as a case manager working with young people and families following an acquired brain injury is really to help work with them to identify the child's needs. And yes, I can bring my experience and my expertise and think of ideas, but really it's important that we put the child in the centre of their rehabilitation. So I very much am guided by what's right for that family at that time, rather than me going along my time frame. So I think a meet and greet is really important at the initial stage because it gives the family and maybe the young person opportunity to meet the case manager. I think it's really important when you've got a close working relationship that you've got someone that you feel you can build a rapport with, maybe you like their specific approach to being a case manager. So I think it's important that you have that close working relationship as you may be working with them for quite some time, and you're also really becoming yes, you're a professional, but you're spending a lot of time with the family and you're being part of their life in some really personal aspect, so it's important that they're comfortable with you. So at an assessment we often go out, we'll meet the family, maybe the young person. We're really just gathering lots of information about their needs, maybe what they were like pre-injury, what their needs are post-injury, really just to get a detailed picture of where we'd start with their rehabilitation and what we can recommend. And then following the initial assessment, we write a detailed report that we send back to the instructing parties, and that includes what we feel are the identified needs and also the recommendations. So what we'll do after we've been instructed after the assessment, we'll go out, we'll meet the family again, review if anything's changed since when we last went out, talk about the recommendations, and then for me it's really about working together with the family and the young person to decide where we're starting, which recommendations are we going to start with first, because often you might have a number of recommendations and you don't really want to be doing 10 at once. That can be quite overwhelming, so it's really just formulating a plan with them and then feeding that back to the instructing party. So the great thing about this process is that with every case, a charitable donation is made back to the Child Brain Injury Trust. So that way they're able to support children that maybe aren't going through the litigation process. So although I'm working with one child and one family, in some ways we're then able to support a wider range of children following an ABI.